What's going on, everybody? This is Cody, the home theater hobbyist, and today I want to talk to you about demo disc. A few weeks ago, a viewer named Robert asked me if I would do a video about some of my favorite demo discs, so I decided to do it, and shout out to Robert. Thanks for the idea. Now, demo disc, what are they? It's a demonstration disc to show off your system, more or less. You got a new big TV, you want to show that off, new projector, show that off, some new speakers, maybe a new subwoofer, basically kind of showing your friends, neighbors, family members your system. Now, some of you may say, I don't know if I really want to be a show off, right? Honestly, in this context, I think it's a little bit okay because it can also help bring somebody else into the hobby, because honestly, that's how I got my start. One of my neighbors growing up actually showed me his 5.1 setup, and I want to give a shout out to Jamie because he showed me that system, and honestly, that's when I kind of fell in love with home theater and decided I gotta have that in my house one day, and so that's what I've done, right? So inadvertently, you can bring somebody into the hobby, basically. So it's definitely a good thing. Now, I've got this list, and I've got basically 5 discs that I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to start at number 5 and work my way down to number 1. Most of them are in 4K UHD, but I do have a Blu-ray thrown in there. One of the things that I think about whenever I think about demoing a movie is something that's actually not only demo worthy, but also a good movie as well. So I've got some of that mixed in, but let's go ahead and let's start with number 5. Number 5, The Incredibles 2. That's right, I picked a movie from Disney Pixar. This looks good, but honestly, the thing I like about this movie is its soundtrack. There is a scene in chapter 33, about an hour and 39 minutes in, that has an excellent Dolby Atmos demonstration. Now, if you aren't aware about Dolby Atmos, it's a 3D audio format, so you have your surround speakers and you have your overhead speakers, and it really utilizes the overhead speakers in a way that is just utterly convincing. In the particular scene I'm talking about, the superhero is on an airplane, and the pilot of the airplane begins talking to her through the overhead speakers, and it's phenomenal coming across in Atmos. Now, I've experienced Atmos helicopters, the raindrops, all the things that people typically do in Atmos, but this particular scene just really works for Atmos. So I have to give a shout out to this movie for its just the appeal of Atmos. Number 4, Jaws, the original summer blockbuster, one of Steven Spielberg's first films. Now, I chose this movie because it's an older film, but this is the 4K UHD disc, and it looks fantastic. It still retains film grain. There's still, some smudges and kind of stuff that shows you that this was a movie made in the 70s, but it looks really good. It's got nice, vibrant colors, and there's a lot of detail. Chapter 2, around the 6-minute 45-second mark, you get a lot of colors as the chief is kind of heading into town. So you get a lot of the colors in the towns, the reds, the blues, the whites, the yellows, the greens, all of that is in there. And so I like this movie because it's a movie that a lot of people haven't seen in quite some time. So showing them this in 4K UHD, they'll really see the format because they have a certain memory of the movie, but this is going to be more vibrant, more detailed. So that's why I picked this for number 4. Number 3, Live, Die, Repeat, Edge of Tomorrow. Now, this movie is a bit sci-fi, and I wouldn't say this is a great movie. It's not an all-time classic or anything like that, but it has a killer opening scene with ridiculous bass. If you want to show off your subwoofer, this is a disc that you should probably buy. Starting about 19 seconds in, it's just nothing but deep notes and a lot of subwoofer excursion. Honestly, I probably wouldn't play this too often on my subwoofer because it's just that hard on subwoofers, but it's a great way to show off your 1, 2, 3, 5 subwoofer setup in your room. Number 2, The Matrix in 4K UHD. Now, honestly, this and my number 1 pick have kind of been swapping back and forth as to which one's number 1, which one's number 2. But I chose this as number 2, mainly because it's a little bit more sci-fi, and my number 1 pick is probably a little bit more mainstream popularity wise as to who would like it. But this is an excellent movie. I really enjoyed it. I even did a video review of this disc. It looks really good. It's got a Dolby Vision HDR grade. This is the 4K UHD disc, by the way. It's also got a Dolby Atmos soundtrack, which really works for this movie. You've got the nice detail in the skin tones. You've got the green cast for when they're in the Matrix, and it's a little bit more blue when they're out of the Matrix. It just looks fantastic. If you haven't seen it in a while, while, say definitely a movie you should pick up. As far as Dolby Atmos and demo is concerned, I'd start probably at like chapter 29, around the hour and 41-minute mark. Neo enters the lobby and there's the shootout. Great surround, great Atmos. And then also you got chapter 31, an hour and 47 minutes in. Neo shows up in the helicopter. Again, Atmos, surround sound. It's just banging all around you. It's great. Your subwoofer's working. It's a great use of the tech that we have. And so that's why I picked the Matrix 4K UHD. Number 1, Ford versus Ferrari. I think this is also called Le Mans 66 in Europe. But this movie, I picked it as my number 1 because it's got a little bit broader appeal. The Matrix is a little bit more sci-fi bent, whereas this is a much broader appeal to more audiences. It's about the Le Mans race in 1966, and it's just a great movie, a great soundtrack. I mean, an excellent soundtrack, excellent use of surrounds in this movie, and that's what you want to show off in this one. Chapter 23, right around the hour and 25-minute mark, Carroll Shelby's giving Mr. Ford a tour and a drive of the car that they're building. Great use of surround sound there. Also starting at chapter 8, right around the hour and 45-minute mark. You should just watch this all the way through at this point. This is the big race day. And again, you got excellent surround. It feels like you're inside the car because of the surround is so good. You're outside the car. The cars are racing past you, It's just an excellent soundtrack. And again, this movie looks great. I mean, it looks fantastic in 4K UHD. Not Dolby Vision, but the HDR10 grade does look good. So those are my 5, the 5 that I wanted to mention here today. I might do this again at some point, but those are the 5 I wanted to mention. But there are a few honorable mentions. The first one is A Quiet Place. I haven't seen this movie. I'm not really into the horror genre, but everybody talks about the sound design. So definitely, if you want to pick that up, definitely pick that up. The second one is John Wick, Chapter 2, Chapter 3. I've seen both of those movies, and from a sound design standpoint, they are incredible. But I will warn you, there's a lot of violence, a lot of gratuitous violence. I'm talking headshots, stabbings, that kind of thing. So whoever you're demoing that for needs to be able to kind of handle it. I probably wouldn't do that with like my mom, mother-in-law, my wife. They're probably not really all that into that, but wanted to mention those. The next honorable mention I have is the movie Gravity, Sandra Bullock's movie. I've been waiting for this movie on 4K UHD, but the Blu-ray does look fantastic, especially if you have an OLED, because you've got the black background of space with the sparkling stars, right? So that's a great visual. So I definitely wanted to mention Gravity as well. So those are just a few honorable mentions. But if you have a demo disc that you like, that you think other people need to know about, drop it in the comment section below, along with the timestamp, so we can look at it and find it and just get a little discussion going down there. If you want to purchase any of the movies I talked about here or any of the honorable mentions, use those links in the description below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, definitely give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you for watching. We'll talk to you next time.